March 1966. In the heart of London, a man walks through the crowded streets carrying one of the most recognizable objects in the world, the FIFA World Cup Trophy. At that moment, nobody realizes it's missing. Not the police, not the British government, not even FIFA. The thief disappears into the city unnoticed. But within hours, a simple theft will become an international scandal. By the next morning, headlines across Britain are asking the same question. Who stole the World Cup? What follows is one of the strangest investigations in sporting history. Scotland Yard launches a nationwide manhunt. Detectives chase leads across the country. Ransom demands arrive. Suspects are questioned. And yet, the closer investigators get to the truth, the more mysterious the case becomes. Because this isn't just the story of a stolen trophy. It's the story of an icon that survived war, crossed continents, and somehow vanished from under the noses of the people sworn to protect it. And before the case is over, the World Cup will be found in the most unexpected way imaginable. Long before the theft that would shock Britain and trigger a nationwide manhunt, the Jules Rimet Trophy had already survived a remarkable battle for survival. Created for the first FIFA World Cup in 1930, the trophy quickly became football's most prized possession. Though small in size, it carried enormous significance. Winning it meant more than becoming world champions. It meant earning a place in history. Then came World War II. As Europe descended into chaos, FIFA officials feared the trophy could be seized, destroyed, or lost forever. One man decided not to take that chance. Ottorino Barassi, FIFA's vice president, secretly removed the trophy from a bank vault where it had been stored for safekeeping. Instead of hiding it in a secure government facility, he chose a surprisingly simple solution. He took it home, placed it inside an ordinary shoebox, and hid it beneath his bed. For years, while bombs fell across Europe and armies marched across the continent, football's greatest prize remained hidden in Barassi's bedroom. One of the most valuable objects in sport survived the war protected by nothing more than secrecy. Remarkably, it worked. The trophy emerged untouched. At the time, it seemed as though it had overcome its greatest threat. But history had other plans. Because decades later, in the heart of London, the Jules Rimet Trophy would face a danger no one saw coming. Not war, not destruction, but theft. By 1966, England was preparing to host the FIFA World Cup for the first time in its history. To build excitement for the tournament, the Jules Rimet Trophy was placed on public display at Westminster Central Hall in London, where thousands of visitors came to see football's most prized possession. Then, on March 20th, it disappeared. Somehow, a thief slipped into the exhibition and walked away with the World Cup trophy. The theft stunned Britain. Scotland Yard launched an intensive investigation, chasing leads, interviewing witnesses, and responding to ransom demands from people claiming to have the trophy. But days passed with no breakthrough. Then, 1 week later, the case took an extraordinary turn. In South London, a man named David Corbett was walking his dog, Pickles, through a quiet residential neighborhood. During the walk, Pickles became interested in a package hidden beneath a hedge. Wrapped in newspaper and tied with string, it looked insignificant. Until Corbett opened it. Inside was the missing World Cup trophy. After days of nationwide panic, football's greatest prize had been recovered not by Scotland Yard, but by an ordinary dog. The trophy was returned, the tournament went ahead as planned, and a few months later, England lifted the Jules Rimet Trophy at Wembley Stadium. It seemed like the perfect ending. But the story of the Jules Rimet Trophy was far from over. In 1970, Brazil achieved what no nation had ever done before. Led by Pelé and one of the greatest teams in football history, they won their third World Cup and earned permanent ownership of the Jules Rimet Trophy. The trophy was transported to Rio de Janeiro, where it became a national treasure. Displayed at the headquarters of the Brazilian Football Confederation, it stood as a symbol of Brazil's golden era and its place at the summit of world football. For 13 years, it remained there untouched. Then, shortly after midnight on December 19, 1983, thieves broke into the Federation's headquarters. This was no ordinary burglary. Investigators believed the criminals knew exactly what they were looking for. Within minutes, football's greatest prize was gone. For the second time in its history, the Jules Rimet Trophy had been stolen. Authorities launched a major investigation. Suspects were identified. Arrests were made. Detectives reconstructed the crime piece by piece. But one question remained unanswered. Where was the trophy? As the investigation unfolded, a disturbing theory emerged. Detectives believed the thieves had melted the trophy down and sold the gold. If true, one of the most important objects in sporting history had been destroyed forever. But no proof was ever found. No photographs, no hidden vault, no trace of the trophy. The trail simply ended. And unlike 1966, the Jules Rimet Trophy was never seen again.